you guys are welcome to a three set problem solved in a Venn diagram, right? So the problem that we are dealing with today is a three, uh, maybe some people call it three circles, maybe Venn diagram, right? So we all understand what a three set, meaning that we are dealing with three different rooms, or maybe I prefer to call it an apartment. Okay. So what it means here is that dealing with uh, three circles, we know how that things looks like. So this goes like this, and then something like this, and then we have the Venn diagram available. Is that okay? So this is what our Venn diagram. Now, if you have this structure here, so here, what are you are going to do here is that this is what we call a union, right? So there may be the universal, some people call it the universal set. What it means here, what I normally use is I consider this one to be an entire house, right? So this one should be the entire house, and then within that house you have three different apartments within the house, right? So that is something you can easily picture, and then see how best you can do that. Okay, now if this is the entire house and then you have an apartment within the apartment, now the first key step in solving this Venn diagram question here is that, so these are the first step, right? So the keys here is that look for the intersections of all the three. So that's just the technical definition. So the intersection means that those notorious people who normally sleep in this first room, and then maybe the second room, or maybe the third room, maybe you see that guy here today, tomorrow you see that person here, and then the next day you see the person in the third room, right? So here we assume that there are just three different apartments according to our definition here. So we have three circles of Venn diagram, or maybe three sets of Venn diagram. Okay, so perfect. Those that maybe today you see them sleep here, tomorrow you see them, and the next day they are going to sleep here, are what we are calling the intersection. So the intersection here, you have to make sure that you know exactly who sleeps in which room. So this room, maybe this room, or this room, this room, this room, and so on and so forth, right? Those are the things that you must pay close attention to, so before you can easily represent the information so on the diagram. So as I said earlier on, your first step is to make sure that you are representing those people first before you proceed, right? So a quick scanning by reading through the questions being given to you, you are looking for the intersection, maybe. So here it can be the three intersection, right? So intersection, that should be intersection, right? So intersection, okay, then that's the spelling there. So the three intersection first before you proceed, right? Okay, so perfect. Now we have some questions that I've already posted on the platform. If you haven't seen that, let me hear from you in the comment section. So right after this video, I will send you the questions that we are using to solve or demonstrate our examples here. And the question says that out of 40 customers in a shop, right? So meaning that you have an entire shop, and then 40 people attended that shop here. So then what happens? What happens? So 25 bought plantain, 16 bought yam, and then 21 bought corn, right? So corn. Then each of the customers bought at least one of the three items, and then it bought both plantain and yam. So what are we looking for? Remember, we are looking for what? The intersections of all the three. That makes sense. So that's the main reason why we are reading. So looking for the intersections of all the three is the key step here. Okay, so perfect. Now, according to the question here, we are not giving the intersections of all the three. Is that okay? So once you are not giving the intersections of all the three, what are we are going to do? You know what mathematician does. So we use a variable, which is what the x to represent that, right? So we are just going to use a variable to represent the intersection of all the three. Not only this variable, so anything that is not being given to you, you use a variable to represent that. So since our first step in solving the three set problem is to look for the intersections of all the three, and then this is not given in our question that we are using, then we are going to use a variable to represent that. So in solving this, we can say that let x represent the intersections of all the three, right? So we are using x to represent the intersections of all the three. That's something that you have to write it down before you proceed. So you can say that let x, so you know this, right? So let x be the intersection, right? Intersection of those who bought uh, the three items, right? That should be our items. Is that okay? Or maybe the three full stops. Okay. Now, perfect. Once you have this thing down, then you can proceed. You know some of these things already, right? Okay, so perfect. Now, since we are, why are we looking for the intersections of all the three? There's a reason behind that, so I'll explain that in just a few seconds, right? So make sure that you stay here to the end. If you have any question, try and comment along. Is that okay? Try and comment along. Okay. Now we have a you have now that is your first reading. That's what we call scanning, right? So after reading, what are we looking for? We are looking for the intersections of what all the three. So once you have that down here, you can go and represent all the information given to. So you read a sentence by sentence. So here we are having out of 40 customers in the shop. So here we are going to have, meaning that 40 people are living in the whole house, right? Out of the 40 people in the entire shop there, that is the 40, which is the universal, right? So we are using this simple rectangular shape here to represent the people attending that shop. Okay, now what happens? So you have the 25 bought plantain. So what we are going to do, use the initials of anything that being given to. So here we have a p plantain, which is 25, right? So and then we also have yam, right? So yam, that is equal to 16, and finally we have a corn to be 21, right? So reading information one by one, this is what you are supposed to do, right? Okay, now let's move on. So what happens next? And then we are told that each of the customers bought at least one of the items. So nobody attended the shop without buying anything. Once you enter that shop, you bought something before you left the shop, right? Okay, that tells you that this intersections of all the three here is, it can never be zero, right? So if you don't know, mistakenly you solve this thing, then you had your x to be equal to 0, then it means that you didn't try, or you didn't solve it well. Okay, now let's move on. So now the question says that eight bought both what plantain and what and yam. So eight bought what plantain and yam. So here, this is the portions, right? You should know exactly where you are going to replace that, or where you are going to put that on the vendor, because there are so many places here. So plantain and yam, the two of them are being here, right? So it's both plantain and yam. So this is where they are going to be. And then this portion, that's also why you should check our playlist down below if you have any questions on who should be here, 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 right? And try and comment down below. We are ready to attend to you. Okay, so eight bought plantain and yam. So this is where they are going to be. This is their room. This is where they are going to sleep if you bought plantain and yam. So eight bought plantain and now look at something. Here's a trick. Once the question says that a certain number, for instance, this example here says that eight bottle plantain and yam, that means that without adding the word only, right? So maybe I guess you should write this thing somewhere, right? So without adding the word only, all that we are going to do here is that this room here, this particular room here, belongs to people who bought what plantain and yam only. This room here, right? So this room here belongs to the people who bought plantain and yam only. So if the question didn't add the word only to that, what we are going to do is that they say that notorious guy here, which is the intersections of all the three here, bought all the three items. So we need to take that guy out, right? So because this room here belongs to those who bought the plantain and yam. So here's the secret. The secret here is that according to the question says that eight bought plantain, eight bought what both plantain and yam, right? So without adding the word only. So what are we are going to do? We are going to subtract the x from what, from the 8, right? So we are going to subtract it. You know the reason why we are doing that. We are doing that because we didn't see the word what only attached to that, and then this room here belongs to those who bought what, the plantain and yam only, right? So the same thing applies to the rest of the question. So that is just the trick. This is some of the mistakes that we see students doing in their final exams, right? Okay, now that we have this portion, that is just a clear something that you must pay attention to. Without adding the word only to the sentence, then you must subtract the intersection. If you are giving a number, you have to subtract that number from the value being given to you, right? So we have a 3 different questions here. So make sure that if you are following along, if you have any question, just try and comment along. Okay. Now, the question for us, and we have what? Let me see the question clear. So 11 bought plantain and corn, right? So 11 bought plantain and corn. So 11 bought plantain and corn. So the plantain and corn are going to be in this portion. Okay. So this portion here, this room here is where the plantain and corn are meeting. So this room here belongs to those who bought plantain and corn only. Does it make sense? Okay, so plantain and corn only. So they are going to be how many people? 11. So we are going to subtract corn only by opening out. The word only is not attached to that, right? So here is going to be 11 minus x, because this guy bought all the 3 items. So that it means that that guy is part of those who bought the plantain and corn, right? Okay, so perfect. And then finally we have 6 bottles maybe yam and corn, right? So yam and corn. Once again, we didn't see the word only to that, so you must also subtract that. So say so minus the intersection. So the key here is that you should know exactly when to subtract and when not to subtract. Okay, now these are the information, and then they say represent the information on the Venn diagram. So that's just a very simple and straightforward. Once reading the questions along, you are just representing everything step by step. But your first starting point here is you look for the intersections of all the 3, right? Okay. Now, once you have already represented information on everyone, so here's another thing. So the second thing is that you have to make sure that you are not leaving any room idle, right? So you are not leaving any room idle here. So what I mean by that is that once you've already conveyed information on room, you can see that this room here is empty, this is empty, this is empty. So what are we are going to do? We are going to use a variables to represent that. So which people sleep in this room here? So this thing is going to be plantain only, right? So that's why you need to check the playlist, right? If you have any question along, so make sure that you access. So we are going to use the letters, so you can use a small letter, small a, small b, and then small c to represent these people. Now, one thing you have to pay attention to is that you cannot leave any room empty, right? So if this portion is not given, we are going to use a variable to represent, and that's what the mathematician does. So we are going to we normally use the letters to represent something that we don't know. Okay, that is the whole idea or the whole concept behind mathematics. You use a letters to represent something that you don't know, right? So okay, since we don't know these people, and then these people, we are using a letters to represent them, right? Okay, so perfect. Now, what are they asking? They're asking how many customers bought all the 3 items. For sure, that is just because that is why we use the x to represent that. You can see here, we said that let x be the intersections of those who bought uh, all the 3 items. So that's what the question is asking us. So fine. So how can you determine the values of all the intersection here? So let's see how to do that, right? So, if you have any question, don't hesitate to comment in the comment section below. Is that okay? Okay, no, perfect. Now, the key here is that remember at the beginning of the video, I said that these are 3 different apartments. So this is first apartment. These people normally enjoy plantain. These people also are corn, and then this is for the yam. Is that okay? If you want to add everything, you have to make sure that everybody is available, right? So what I mean by everybody is available here is that you have to look for this guy, because this guy is not giving, right? You are the one who introduced this A here, you are the one who introduced the B, and then you are the same person who introduced the C as well. Is that okay? So fine, you have to make sure that you look for this guy before you can add this 1, 2, 3 here. Talking about the plantain, the set of the plantain. How many people, like, let's say, eating plantain here, right? So there are 25. So out of the 25 here, how many rooms are there? So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So 4 people are what are in the rooms of the plantain, right? Okay, fine. Then it means that this guy is not available, right? So this guy is not available. If you are not available, we are the one you introduce this guy here. So you have to make sure that you count him as well. So you look for this person before you can add everything to 25. This is what I'm trying to say here. Let's say how many of you, let's say you are 15 in the class, right? So 15 people in the class, and then someone enters. By the time of counting, then you are just 12, meaning that 2 people are missing, right? If it's 2 people, let's say, because we don't know those people that are sorry, the 3 people are missing, right? So because we don't know that these people, these guys are not available, or that we know that the total number of people in that class are 15. So but after counting, we had 12 people in that class, meaning that some people are missing. But so those that are missing, we are just using a variable to represent that. So we know the total, so the total is equal to 15. So the way of solving this, we know how to solve this. And so if we solve this, you should have your A to be equal to 3. Right, so that's the concept that we are using in solving this problem here. Is that okay? So the concept here is that out of the 4 rooms here, 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms of the plantain here, we are giving this from the question. We are giving this one from the question. We are also giving this from the question, right? So this is not giving. We are the one who introduced the A, so you have to look for this A before you proceed. So how do you find the values of the A? Then we all know that 25 here, maybe you can say that for plantain, right? So you just have to make sure that you write everything clearly, so you know exactly what you are doing. So for plantain, we have 25, right? So how many people are in, or how many people like eating plantain? 25, right? Okay, so 25, that is equal to A. Remember, A is part of these people. So plus what 8 minus x here, right? So 8 minus x in this room, plus x, and then plus what 11 minus x here. Everything. I know that if I sum all these 4 people, I should have 25, right? Okay. Now I'm going to have my 25 perfectly. So what do? You just need to, who are you looking for? We are looking for the guy who is missing. So this guy is not available. We are the one who introduced the A. So if A is missing, all that we are going to do is so we have 25, that is equal to A. So what happens here? We have 8 uh, minus s and then plus s. So the way of solving is these people will cancel. That's all you see student doing. So what the question is, why do they cancel? You see, this x here, we can call this x a goat. There's another goat here. So you maybe because of this s must be ready, you went and take the goat on credit, right? So negative here represents something on credit. Let's assume that's the case. So how many goats are you taking? Just one. So one goat here, and then later on after the s months you return another similar goat. Let's say similar goat because of the xx here. So they just cancel out, right? So you are just cancel. You don't have anything at the end, right? So that is why these 2 people cancel out. So maybe that should be for another video here under algebraic expression. If I have something like this plus or 2 minus, these 2 people you cannot combine them, right? So that should be for another video on algebraic expression. So if you want us to treat this thing, once again, make sure that you comment, you bring up your topic in the comment section. Okay, perfect. Now let's proceed. Once these people cancel out, we can move on. So we have the 11 and then plus or 11. These people are also coming from one family. What I mean by one family, there I can see the 80, I can see the 11. So we need that plus or and 90, and then we have minus x at the end. Right? Okay, that was a very nice and interesting one. So what are we looking for? We are just looking for this A, right? So remember we have a 25. This 90 can jump out because your friend is here. So what I mean by your friend, this is a number, this is also a number. There's no X attached to that. So by subtracting, so we have a minus 19. So once you cross the equal to sign here, your symbol here has to change, right? So that is equal to A and then minus X, right? So if you subtract this from that, we should have a 6, right? So 6, that is equal to A and then what? Minus A. Remember, what are we looking for? We are just looking for what we are just looking for the values of the A. So meaning that this X here has to vanish, right? So we have the 6 and then plus or plus X, that is equal to, you know, the reason why this tends to be plus, because there's a negative here. Is that okay? So don't force yourself and make sure that you always want the A to be before the equal to sign. The meaning of the equal to sign is telling us that what both sides are the same. Okay, so if you want to rewrite this thing, I would advise you, once you get to this point that A is on one side of the equation, you can easily say that this A is equal to 6 plus 1 plus A, which is the same as this one. Okay, don't let the X and whatever worries you. You just move on with your calculations and then be free. So now that we have the values of the A to be equal to 6 plus plus X, right? So 6 plus X, meaning that here is going to be 6 and then plus S. So if you add everything, this one plus this, everything should be equal to 25. That is exactly what we did earlier on, right? Okay, so perfect. Now the same procedure applies to finding the values of the b. So why are we looking for the b? Because we are the one who introduced this guy, meaning that this guy is missing. So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, and there must be equal to a 16, right? So there must be a 16 people, but we normally 80. Yeah, so 1 2 and then 3 and then 4, because this guy is missing right now, right? So this guy is nowhere to be found. Is that okay? So since you are nowhere to be found, with the same procedure, you can easily find the values of the b. I guess I should give you a few seconds to try that. So what we are going to do here is that you add what the 8 minus what x plus 6 minus x plus b. Everything is equal to 16, and then you solve that, you find the values uh, of the bill. So why are we doing that? We are doing this to make sure that everybody is available, right? So if you are available, you are available, you are available. So you sum everything together, then we all know that how many people attended the shop. There are 40 people that attended that shop, right? Okay, so perfect. So we need to find this guy, find this one, and then add everything together to have our 40. So find the values of the b before we proceed. Okay, perfect. So if you try that, the values of the b should be equal to 2 plus x, or maybe x plus 2, whichever way is accepted. If you have it wrong, uh, where you've made some mistakes, right? Okay, perfect. So solving, you should have your c to be equal to 4 plus 1 plus x, right? Okay, 4 plus x. So these are the three notorious people that are missing out of our 40 or in what in x. So meaning that just one person is missing. So way back, if I give you something like, let's say x plus 1, that is equal to 2, you can easily solve this because of just one variable, right? So you just need to subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. You have a 2 minus 1, so meaning that x that is equal to 1, right? So equal to 1. Okay, that's why we solve the values of the a B, and then C. You can see that now we have A to be 6 plus S, and then 2 plus X, and then 4 plus X, right? Okay, now perfect. So with that we have the power to combine everything, right? So we are just going to add everything on it. What I mean by the everything, every room here, we add everything together and then equal that to 40, right? Okay, so let's start from the A. So what is the values of the A here? So 6 plus X, so 6 plus X, and then let's come here, that is plus what, 8 minus X, and then plus what, plus X, plus 11 minus X, plus what, plus 6 minus X. What is here? C, right? So what's the values of the C? C is plus what, 4 plus 4 plus X, right? So 4 plus X, and then we have finally, which is the B is what, B is 2, so plus 2 plus X, everything is equal to 40, right? So everything is equal to 40. So you just have to do your calculation and then then you move on, right? If you want to avoid some mistake, deal with the numbers and then you let the variable follows, right? So you have 6 plus or plus 8. So remember the sign in front of you, that is exactly what belongs to you, right? So you have plus or 11, and then plus 6 plus of 4, right? So plus this 4, and then plus 2. Now let's deal with the variables. So start from here. We have a plus X, and then minus X, right? So minus X, and then plus X, right? So what follows? So minus X minus this X here, plus X, and then plus this X, right? Everything is equal to 40, right? Okay, so perfect, everything is equal. So now let's work out for our numbers. So maybe I should leave this thing to you. You all know how to handle numbers, right? So you sum everything together here, right? So that should be 14, and then 25, and so on and so forth. So if you sum everything, that should give you 37, right? So 37, so 37, and then let's deal with the variable. So here, from here, so we have 1x minus s, a goat minus goat, that's, there's nothing available, right? So this minus this one also cancel. What about these people? They can also cancel out, right? So this one can also cancel. Let's see how easy this thing is. So we are left with just plus plus 8, everything is equal to 40. Is that okay? So what are we looking for? So back to the examples that as I gave before, this combine everything together. You can see clearly that here we are having x to be equal to, we let this guy vanish, right? So we have 40, and then minus 37. So we had our x to be equal to 3. Right? So what is x? So we are not finding the values of the x, but rather we are finding the number of people who bought all the 3 items, right? So it means that you must answer the question. So what I mean by that, you have to write a sentence that says that 3 people, right, or maybe 3 customers bought all the the 3, yeah, right? So make sure that you finish this sentence, right? The 3 customers bought all the 3 food stuffs. Is that okay? So this is how simple solving this problem is. Now, the next question says that what is the probability, right? So the probability that a customer selected at random. So the meaning of that sentence is that you just pick, that is the chance, right? So what is the chance that a customer selected at random? So we are just selecting, right? Selecting randomly. What is the chance that the person selected at random? What happened? So I either bought either plantain only or corn only, right? So what is the probability that the person selected at random either bought plantain only or what, corn only? So you have to go for a section where those people bought plantain only or a corn only. So where do they belong to on the vendor? So plantain only is here, right? So A the plantain only. What was the values of the A? The A was what? A was 6 plus what? Plus X, right? 6 plus X, so meaning that we've already found the values of the X, so 6 plus or plus 2, that is equal to 9. And then uh, plantain only or corn only, right? So you look for the corn only. So here you have the corn only in this portion. So what was the values of the C? C was 4 plus x, right? So that is 4 plus x, meaning that 4 plus plus 3, and that is going to be equal to 7, right? So you sum these two people together, so only, right? So that's the probability. Only, that's the 9 plus or plus 7, that is going to be 16. Is it 16? Yeah, 16, right? So that's going to be 16. So the probability that the chance, so 16 out of the total people, right? So 16, the probability of buying plantain, that is equal to 16 on what? On 40, right? So 16 on 40, you need to reduce this in maybe I don't know which figure you want to use, but you have to reduce this into the simplest form. That is going to be 2 on what? On 5. So maybe you can use 8, right? So 8 go here, 5, and then here 8 go here how many times? 2 times, right? So if you don't know how to say that big figure, you can use 2 and so on, and then keep on reducing until you have to come across the simplest form, right? Okay, so that is for this part. And then the second one says that the probability that the customer selected a random bought at least 2 items. So at least 2 items. So at least 2 items. Then you just need to go to your Venn diagram and go and locate those who bought at least 2 items, right? So those who bought at least 2 items, where do they belong to on the Venn diagram? So here, and then here. Can you see? So this portion, and then this portion, that is where they belongs to on what? On the Venn diagram, right? So okay, perfect. So you just need to add this one, this, and then what? And then this. They are the people that bought at least 1 item, right? So by solving this thing, you just need to replace the values of the x. That is going to be 8 minus what? X. Let's put this one to black brackets, and then plus what? 6 minus x, and then we also plus what? 11 minus x. So this portion below, that is why you need to know the names of all the rooms, right? So you need to know. So we have 8 minus 3, you know where this 3 is coming from. That's the values of the x after finding that. So plus what? 6 minus or minus 3, plus what? We have 11, and then minus 3, right? So do this calculation and then give me the value in the comment section. Remember, it is a probability, so the chance out of something, the total number out here, that should be what? Should be 40, right? So you just join the class, but you are welcome, right? So let me hear from you in the question. Just say hi, let me hear from you in the comment section. Just type, right? Type in the comment section. Let me see you for saying hi in that portion. Okay, so once you add all these people here, give me your answer and the values of this thing in the comment section, right? And then let's see how best we can proceed. Okay, perfect. So what is this? What is the probabilities of this one in the comment section below? So I think that is all you have to know for the first part of the question, right? If you have any issue, if you are not okay, just reach me in the comment section below. We are ready to help you, right? Okay. Now, the next question here is similar to this example, right? So let me see that question. Yeah, so that question is similar to the one that I just solved. So the question says that a group of 34 women sells at least one of the following foodstuffs, right? So that question is similar to the one I just solved. If you have a problem, don't hesitate to comment in the comment section below, right? So if you don't know how to tackle that problem, now the only difference here is that, remember, in dealing with the three-set problem, your first step is to make sure that you are representing the intersections of all the three first before you proceed, right? So here you just have to go and look for the intersections of all the three. So maybe let me give you the clue. According to that question, after reading everything together, make sure that you read those questions. If you don't have the question, just comment, right? So according to that question, you are not giving the intersection, right? So you are not giving the intersection. If you are not giving the intersection here, or maybe someone will say you will be giving the intersection. Is that okay? So don't be confused with that. I think this thing normally worries people mostly, right? And no one says all three items, and no one, right? So that's the question. And no one says all the all the three items, right? So all the three items. This is what the question says, right? And no one says all the three items. So what does it mean? What does it mean? What do you think could be the intersections of all the three, right? And no one says all the three items. So the intersection here is going to be 0, right? That should be 0. Here is going to be 0. So let me clean this. I don't want to redraw this portion, so let me just clean and wipe this thing within, right? So we are no more dealing with plantains and other stuff and so on. Or maybe don't do this thing on examination, right? Okay, so this is a very nice and a simple shape. Okay, so and no one says what all the three items. So, and no one says all the three items. So what we are going to do here, the intersections of the three is going to be 0, right? So the intersection of the three is going to be what? To be 0. Is that okay? 0, the 0, that is the information. Don't change anything. What I have been giving to you, that is what you have to obey. Obey the law and proceed and move on, right? And that you represent that portion by what? A letter, any letter, right? A letter of your own choice. And then don't repeat the letter. So it says that maybe here is A, and then you come here, you can say here is also A. No, you don't do that, right? So you can only do this thing if they say that the number here is the same as the number here, right? So you can say that in mathematics you use the same one variable to represent the same thing, right? So if here was 5, here was 5. But if you are not giving, then you are going to use a different letters to represent that. I think that's the only key things you have in that problem. So try and solve that question. It's similar to the one that I just solved, right? Okay, now the second, or finally, the last question here is that so let me clean this, right? So let me clean this Venn diagram. Yeah, for these classes for 3 sets of issues, so we are dealing with 3 sets. Some people prefer to use a compass in drawing these things, so maybe no one will restrict you in doing that. You want to do a very neat work, right? So it's accepted, right? Everything is possible, it's accepted, but make sure that you are working within a time frame. Now let me guide you on the last part of the question. uh, so the question here says that in a class of, we already have a post on this thing, right? You already posted the questions on our page. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and then click the notification, so anytime we post anything, you'll be notified, right? Okay, in a class of 32 students, right? So we know that is going now. The good thing about solving some questions here is that it gives you the clue, right? So once you have the information, you know where to start. So you know that the universal here is going to be 32. Even though our first step is to make sure that you are representing the intersections of all the three first. So after reading this thing, right? So after reading this thing, so for sure, we have that each student offer at least one of the subjects, and then find the number of students who offers chemistry, and then so on and so forth. But remember, Remember, let's look for the intersections of all the three. So in a class of 32 students, 18 of chemistry and 16 of physics and 22 of mathematics, right? 6 of all the three. Perfect. That is what we are looking for. So 6 of us all the three. Yes, so meaning that the intersections of all the three is going to be 6. Straightforward. Is that okay? So once you're able to do this, you're able to identify that, then you can go back and go and represent all the sections. So we have in the class of 32 students, you have 18 of chemistry. So chemistry C, that is equal to 18. And then we have 16 of physics. So physics, that is equal to 16. And then finally, you have 22 for what? Mathematics, right? So 22 for mathematics, right? The arrangement of the set here is not necessarily the case. All I have to you have to understand that this is where these people belongs to. This is where another people also it belongs to. Okay, now this is what we are given. And then what follows? This offers all the three subjects. And then three offers of chemistry and physics. Is that okay? Chemistry and physics only. This is where the question gets started. So this is a little bit contrary to the first example that you saw, right? So the only difference here is that you have 3, 6, how many people here? And the question says 3 of chemistry and physics only, right? So 3 of I think that should be chemistry, right? So chemistry and what? Physics, right? So physics only. This is the word, right? So the word here is only. So the key here is only, right? So the key here is this sort only. So once you hear the word only, what are we going to do? You don't need to subtract the intersection from that again, right? So you don't need to subtract the intersection. That's the difference that you must pay a close attention to, right? So three of us chemistry and physics only. Just need to go to that portion here. So chemistry and physics. So chemistry and physics 3. Then you put 3 there. Because of the word only here, you don't need to subtract anything again, right? And then what follows? And then 5 of us of physics only, right? So you have 5 of us physics also. So this is the portions of the physics only. And then okay, each student of at least one of the following subject. Okay. So these are the information. This is all that we have. This is all the information that you have available, right? So remember, once you've already conveyed all the informations are available, remember what I say. Don't go and put your own numbers in this portion, right? Don't do that. Don't go and put your own numbers in this portion. Now, what are we going to do? We are going to use a variable to represent those that did not have any information according to the questions being given. So we can use A here, can use B here, can use C here, right? And then what about this portion, right? So some people can use D. Is that okay? So A, B, C, D. You can see that there are different letters here. So use that. Just use the numbers to represent that. As simple as that. That's what A, B, C, D, right? Okay, perfect. Now, those numbers that you've introduced to the Venn diagram, they are the people that you have to look for. They are the people that you have to solve, right? So those that are not given to you and then they are the missing goats here, then you have to make sure that you look for them. So one, you have to start and look for this one, and then look for this, and then as well as the B. Is that okay? So the question here is, how do you find the values of the A? Is that okay? How do you find the values of the A? So this is a little bit tricky. So no other tricky. Now once you have the concept here, I can see that here. If I want to go for maybe let's say the chemistry people here, how many people are missing? Two people, one and then two. 8 people. The number of the chemistry only is missing. The number of the chemistry and the mathematics is also missing, right? So these 2 people are missing. But look at something. Here's the clue here. You can see here that clearly that these portions of the physics here is only one number that is missing. This number are the people who offer physics and what mathematics, right? This is the people that is missing. So why don't you start from this portion here, so for you to identify this number, so this one can help you solve the rest of the question, right? So instead of you going here, right? So instead of you going here, 1, 2, 3, that would be a little bit tedious for to find, right? So always look for what the starting point. So what I'm trying to say here is that we can see that here is going to be 3 plus or plus the 6, and then plus d, and then plus 5 is equal to the number of the phases. How many people are referring this is 1, 6, right? So this plus this one, that should be d, here should be 9, and then that should be 14, and then plus d, that is equal to 16. So solving for the d, you have our d to be equal to 2, right? Does it make sense? Okay, so d is equal to 2. If d is equal to 2, then we are free to go. Is that okay? So we are free to go. We are just free to move on here, right? So we are free to move on. Right, so you have your d here to be equal to 2, so maybe you can put a 2 here, right? So 2 plus 6 plus this one plus this, that is equal to 22, right? So we are looking for this or c. So c, so let's solve that. Let's try and solve that. This is just something similar to the first part that we have solved, right? So that is very, very simple and straightforward. Okay, just a few seconds for you to digest what is happening, right? If you have any question, don't forget to comment in the comment section below. Once again, so we have here to be also, you consider for what, for chemistry, right? So for chemistry here, so that is going to be, let's say, b plus c, and then plus 6 plus d, right? So that is equal to, we are going for the chemistry, so I was doing for the mathematics. So let's start for the chemistry first, right? So, but this is just the same thing, right? So maybe you can say that here you can change this one to be what, mathematics, right? So mathematics here, right? So mathematics, we have this plus this is the portions of the mathematics. So we have the d to be yeah, everything is going to be 22, right? So remember the 22 people offering mathematics. So you have b, which we don't know, you have c, you also don't know, plus 6, and then we know the d, that was 2, and then that is equal to 22, right? So we have b plus c, that is equal to this one will be what, plus, here it should be plus, right? So plus 8, that is equal to 22, and then you just need to solve for one variable here, right? So we can say that solving for the c here, so mathematics only, that would be b c, right? So that should be c, right? So here mathematics only c, that is equal to everything. You have the 22, and then this guy goes minus 8, and then you also have to vanish and then minus b. So this is going to be, this should be equal to 13, right? So 13, 1 3. Is that okay? So this is how simple you solve some of this problem. 14, right? So is that is 14. So comment below, right? So comment below if you have any. That should be 14, right? So 1 4 1 4. So c is equal to 1 4, and then the same thing you have to solve for this a here. So when you are done, what are you going to do? So chemistry only, then you solve for these people, right? So you solve for this guy. Let me know if you want me to solve a full questions this one or relating to this, right? This is a similar idea on what, so give me the answers to this value here, and then this value, this value, and then this value. So you've already found for the d, right? So give me the answer to these three people in the comment section. But remember what the question is asking us to find. We want to find the chemistry only. So once you're able, we are just free to go. You see that the answers are just flowing like that, right? So the answers are just following step by step, right? So you need to try your answer. If you want us to solve this in step by step, let's share that in the comments. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more lessons. So any topic that you want us to treat, make sure that you give us or you reach us in the comment section, right?